With that, I want to introduce our first speaker. Michael Crawford was involved heavily as a staff member, along with me and my team, in putting together the original Pinellas by Design. He has been serving in the Pinellas Planning Council for 20 years and currently is the interim director. Prior to that, he spent 9 years with the city of Tarpon with planning and the planning and zoning director ultimately. He received his master's degree from national champion Florida State University, go Noles, in urban and regional planning, and a BA in environmental resource management and planning from University of West Florida. And he's a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. Mike Crawford.
Good morning. Really one day shy of that 20 years. Tomorrow's my anniversary, so on Halloween. But this morning I'll bring everyone up to speed on Pinellas by Design, which is the economic development and redevelopment plan that was conducted and completed about 10 years ago here for Pinellas County. And this should hopefully set the stage for some of the following speakers that are for today and tomorrow. I'll let you know a little bit about what was developed in the plan. Then we'll start from 2005 and look forward to see what the plan recommended and give a sample of what's been done and what's being completed to implement the plan. I'll start by letting you know what Pinellas by Design is briefly. That is why we started this in the first place, how community visioning played a key part in its development, what directions came from the plan, and what was discovered about our economy during this whole process. Now, starting out, as you know, many of you know, we're virtually built out in Pinellas County. That means that the amount of developable land or the other greenfield land that we have is dwindling in Pinellas County. New population growth is being accommodated through infill and through redevelopment of older properties. That, again, we all know. Starting out of Pinellas by Design identified the fact that redevelopment is necessary and it's inevitable in Pinellas County. However, it can occur with or without this overarching public purpose or clearly articulated objectives. That was real important. And we may not want to admit it, but we are a maturing urban county, Pinellas County is, and we need to develop, redevelop in order to continue to prosper. The plan identified that a significant amount of our building stock is aging, risking a loss of our employers. It also stated that the regulations that many of us still have on the books are cumbersome in this built-out environment and more appropriate to areas that have more open space. Instead of relying on variances and exceptions in our process that offer much uncertainty, we needed to focus on creating more certainty in our redevelopment scheme. In this county, we needed to understand that there's a new development reality. If we're going to change the way we look at development or redevelopment, we needed to ask this question: what do we want our community to look like? We have a choice, so we wanted to get people involved to answer that question. The full redevelopment of Pinellas by Design took approximately 5 years. We're 1,200 participants. We had 3 different summits. We involved the public, the business owners, development community, and local government involvement. I'm sure there's many people in the room here that were involved in that process over the 5-year period. Important in the process was the recognition that the plan needed to involve each and every local government, the private sector, and again, the community. The Pinellas by Design effort included the community visioning, significant study and analysis, of course, and deliberation. And that became the plan. That became Pinellas by Design. It was a great starting point and a place to launch from to bring multiple entities together to start a path to improve our community. Again, what was real important was that we embark on this plan together. Pinellas by Design stated that plan redevelopment is the key to our prosperity in Pinellas County. Properly done, it would not only sustain the quality of life that we enjoy today, but improve upon what we have. However, if not properly done, without it, we begin to decline. That was very clear in the report. It also recognized that our many small communities have led to a polycentric development pattern, Mr. Fruit's words, with centers, corridors, and districts of activity. Effective redevelopment really had to build upon this existing framework, which is preserving the character of the established neighborhoods while channeling new growth into areas where it can be appropriately accommodated. Centers being the focal point of community activities, ranging from neighborhood-based shopping centers all the way on up to large, high-intensity downtowns throughout the county. Our corridors, what do we want them to look like? How do we want them to function? What type of transportation do we expect within these corridors? Districts, how can we change the way we look at special areas in Pinellas County that house significant employment? Very importantly, the plan identified that we have a real estate dilemma in Pinellas County. That is, with virtually no vacant land left, we must be careful to redevelop with the understanding that we need to remain economically viable and competitive. It's often a choice between economic prosperity versus disinvestment, job loss, and declining wages. Although this seems like a simple choice to us in this room, it's often not clear what the impacts of our land use decisions are. So we need to start with an understanding of what drives our economy, and that is our primary employment at the top. Primary employers are those that offer a higher than average wage and import revenue into the county. Our economy is no longer centered on tourism, but on a diversified base of primary employers in the fields such as manufacturing, information systems, and medical technology. These employers require a supply of buildable land in the right locations. However, they face stiff competition from other forms of development like retail and high-end residential. Although there's a need to redevelop with some of these other uses, of course, if left unchecked, conversion of land that can be used for primary employers ultimately could lead to the detriment of our economy. The dilemma is based on the fact that our industrial lands are generally priced lower than other land and can be more readily bought and developed by retail and residential uses, or for those uses. This yields a short-term financial gain for the property owner. However, due mostly to the retail uses paying relatively lower wages, and with the exception of some tourist-oriented businesses, of course, they do not import money into the county. Also, some of the retail chains are headquartered outside of our county, and that can actually siphon money outside of the county. High-end residential uses, on the other hand, tend to attract residents who desire more public services than their property taxes alone can support. This conversion of prime industrial land is the least beneficial to our economy over the long haul. From a broader economic perspective, the highest and best use is office and industrial uses. These uses can accommodate new or expanding primary employers who pay high wages, import money into the community, and require comparatively few public services. However, the short-term economic gain to the landowner are usually lower for these other uses, but overall can result in the best benefit, the most benefit for our local economy. Pinellas by Design strongly suggested that we protect the land that is suitable for these primary employers. We also needed to identify and remove unnecessary regulatory burdens, and the high costs associated with redevelopment needed to be offset by regulatory and financial incentives. Now, all of this will be updated later in the symposium, but Pinellas by Design established targets for high-wage job growth, recommending that not only do we need to consider the efficient redevelopment of the current inventory of vacant land that we had in Pinellas County, but we needed an additional 4,000 acres to accommodate new primary employer jobs. So what have we done thus far to implement this Pinellas by Design? The following slides will give you some high points, but understand that there are many more efforts being undertaken by others involved in the process. So early on, we started by adopting, after Pinellas by Design, adopting 4 redevelopment categories into the updated the countywide plan. And this was an attempt to move us away from greenfield-style development regulations and more towards regulations that focused on redevelopment. The adoption of a transit-oriented development category in anticipation of the Green Light Pinellas plan followed that. And these and other transit regulations were adopted by 5 local governments expected to have light rail travel through their communities, as shown in Green Light plan. And by doing so, have helped increase the potential federal funding expected in the system. Another joint effort between the Pinellas Planning Council, the Countywide Planning Authority, in this case the City of St. Pete Beach in 2007, was to develop appropriate guidelines for redevelopment of certain areas of the barrier islands in Pinellas County. Since 2001, we had lost an estimated 5,000 of our 40,000 accommodations for tourists through conversion to high-end residential, for the most part, and to other uses, similar to what industrial lands are experiencing today. In 2008, the Target Employment Industrial Land Study, or TEALS, was completed, and this took the Pinellas by Design discussion of primary employers much further, setting forth a strategy to help protect land suitable for primary employers, and then a report called Target Employers. TEALS also contained recommendations of primary employers, contained recommendations that went beyond regulatory changes and techniques, including investing in financial incentives and creating new financial incentives and programs. Now, a sampling of the many efforts conducted by local governments in Pinellas County starts with St. Petersburg. Adoption of their Vision 2020 plan paralleled the development of Pinellas by Design. In fact, they were the first community to take advantage of the new planned redevelopment categories in the countywide plan. That occupied about 53% of their community after they did that. Other local government efforts paralleling Pinellas by Design include the development of the planning to stay and the economic elements for the Pinellas County Comprehensive Plan. Among other things, these efforts include strong support for industrial lands, providing flexibility and incentives. The MPO, or the Metropolitan Planning Organization, developed the Livable Communities Model Plan and code provisions that encourage walking, biking, and transit use. To date, several communities have adopted these models. And then we have Largo. Largo's strategic plan was developed in 2004, but it's updated regularly and provides direction on redevelopment planning throughout the city. One of the more current planning efforts tied into Pinellas by Design Centers, Quarters, and Districts concept is the US 19 Corridor Redevelopment Plan, recently completed by the City of Clearwater. So what does the future of Pinellas by Design hold? We're working on that now, specifically with the update of the countywide plan. As an example, this will incorporate the principles of Pinellas by Design and TEALS, and has been coordinated among 25 local governments, as well as the MPO and the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. It transforms the centers, quarters, and districts concept into a usable land use tool that pulls in the MPO's long-range transportation plan and PSTA's Greenlight Pinellas plan. It directs growth to preferred locations, and coupled with other provisions in the update, will protect and enhance existing residential neighborhoods and other areas of the county. The map ties in with and will be used in conjunction with the new countywide future land use plan, a map that will have 14 land use categories as opposed to 37 on today's. It will allow a broader mix of uses that are better tied into our transportation system, and it provides a more streamlined amendment process and helps to provide more certainty in the redevelopment process. It also helps to carry out the recommendation in Pinellas by Design in the TEALS study by identifying prime employment land, setting the stage for further protection of these lands, and by providing bonuses for certain uses that should help these areas to redevelop more efficiently than they have in the past. Lastly, just one of the more recent moves to improve our economy involves the approval of an ad valorem tax abatement for new or expanded businesses in the county. Michael Meidel will talk about this in more detail tomorrow, but this was approved by 63% of our voters recently. Very impressive. So we've made strides, but much remains to be done, such as adopting that updated countywide plan, looks like early next year, provide infrastructure support for our industry, assisting in land assembly for primary employers, and creating incentives, other incentives and assistance for these primary employers. And of course, we have both significant potential and significant challenges ahead of us. So we must continue to work together as a community, like we have in the past with Pinellas by Design. So thank you.